All right. Good morning, everyone. For those people who are in Asia, good morning. For those people who are in Western Canada, that would be good evening. My name is Israel Roman, your Canadian immigration consultant for tonight or for this webinar. And we are here right now for our free webinar for our study work and immigrate to Canada, which is the fast and easy pathway to Canada. So again, welcome everyone. If you are joining us via Zoom, if you have any questions, please go ahead and write them down on the chat box. If you guys are joining us in our Facebook page, please write your questions on the comment section, and I'll go ahead and take a look at that one from time to time and answer it from time to time. So yeah, if you're also watching on your Facebook page, Facebook Live, please go ahead and share. I mean, please go ahead and like and share this webinar, this FB Live to your friends, to your families, to you groups that you think that would benefit from this webinar, which is again, study, work, and immigrate to Canada, the fast and easy way to migrate to Canada. Okay, so few things. If you are, if you've been in touch with someone that is helping you with your immigration paperwork for Canada or giving you some advice with regards to how to immigrate to Canada, just be mindful that they need to be licensed with the Immigration Consultant of Canada Regulatory Council or the ICCRC. Such as myself, I am licensed with ICCRC. So if you have any complaints with an immigration consultant, you have a body to go to, or you have an agency to go to, which in my case, it would be ICCRC. And if they're not licensed with ICCRC, then even if you log a complaint, they won't be able to help you out with this one. So just be mindful that make sure that the person that you're working with, if they are giving you advice on how to come to Canada, if they're not your family member, even if it's for free, they need to be licensed with ICCRC. So how would you determine if they are really or truly licensed with ICCRC? So if you can just go to the site ICCRC and you scroll down and hit the learn more, and then under your public register, type in the name. Let's say you're working with myself, last name Roman, first name Israel, and hit search, and you'll see it right there. Name is Roman Israel, and the status right now is active, and that's my identification number with ICCRC. And when you hit contact, it would show you where I am based, which is Nanaimo, BC, Canada. And I work for the company Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited. So this is one way of checking if the consultant that you are working with is truly licensed with ICCRC and truly able to perform and give you advice, or legally able to give you advice when it comes to immigration. Okay, and then the next thing is that how are you able to determine if that business that was mentioned truly exists? So, such as the Roman and Associates, right? So, since Roman and Associates is a business established in Canada, you can go ahead and search for that one. So, under the Canada Business Registry, and hit the terms and choose the province, which is British Columbia, and then type in the name of the company, which is Roman. For this one, it would be Roman and Associates, and it would Sorry, I typed in the wrong spelling. So hold on. There you go. Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited. And you'll see it right there that the status is active and the business type is a BC company. Okay. So that's the another way. So that's the other way, or not the other way, but that's one way of checking if the business in Canada, the business that is said to be in Canada really exists. Okay. And then the other one that you can check is like make sure you can do a Google search. There's a lot of Facebook posting right now where it says wanted work in Canada, and there's a list of employment, a list of work that they're looking for. It could range from housekeeping, farmer, receptionist, customer service, and a lot more. And you'll see who posted that one in the group. And then when you hit comment, or when you hit yes in the comment, someone will reply to you. So use that name, whoever replied to you, and search who is that person really. So for so you can use Google. So let's say for myself, you type in Israel Roman, and I say I'm Israel Roman, and I'm saying I'm from Nanaimo. So search that one and see what comes up. So for Israel Roman in Nanaimo, this is the one that comes up, which is Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited on the right-hand side, which is the company that I work for. And you'll see it. It's verified by Google with 5-star review. So that's great. And that's the address right there. And if you scroll down, you can try to search if there's anything that is a red flag, right? Anything that stands out to you that would indicate that I should not be working with this person. And for myself, I don't see any red flags, so that's great. So, but you can see like right here, NanaiMoBulletin.com, Nanaimo Hospital Auxiliary Donation. It would say the name Israel Roman, Energy Age Intensive Care Unit, Telemetry, Medicine, Floor, Heart Health, and so yeah. So that means Israel is in Nanaimo indeed. Now let's go click on the picture, and I'll open up my video again just for reference. Okay. So you'll see it in there. So the picture that I have clicked is Nanaimo Hospital Auxiliary, and that's me right there giving some speech or saying thank you to the auxiliary group for their donation of 300,000. Okay. And then let's go click another picture. And that would be me right there. That is again, Nanaimo Hospital gets 340,000, and that's from BC Local News. Let's click maybe one more. Right here, it shows you MLA, so a politician from Parksville, Qualicum, visits ICU in Energy H, and that's me right there. And you can verify it that those pictures are truly the same. Okay, so those are the three things that you can have and make sure that you use to make sure that you are really working with a person that is legally able to perform the work, and that you won't be scammed or anything. All right, so there you go. So pathway to Canada. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you have researched on how to come to Canada, and some of you might have encountered or might have come across the express entry, Okay, so I'll just give you a high level overview when it comes to the express entry. And the reason being I need to give you a high level overview on this one is because this one will be related to your pathway to Canada. Okay, so under the express entry, you have three subcategory. You have the federal skilled worker, you have the trades worker program, and then you have the Canadian experience class. And all of these three have different minimum requirements or requirements. And yes, so we'll take a look at each one of them in a high level overview. So how does express entry really works? Okay, so you submit your application. If you meet your minimum requirements, depending on which category, could be the Canadian experience class, the trades worker, or the skilled worker. If you meet the minimum, then you are entered into a express entry pool. And then later on, every month there is a draw that the immigration does, wherein the immigration, the IRCC would say, for this draw, we would like to invite the top 1,000. Okay. So how would we know, or how would you know that you'll be in that top 1,000? So aside from the minimum score, you will have also a comprehensive ranking score. Okay. So you have your minimum score, and then based on your minimum score, you would also have a comprehensive ranking score. And then that is the way you are ranked in that pool. So when it's a top 1,000, so the top 1,000, so it could be the 1,000th place might have a ranking score of 450. That means everyone that scored 450 and above is on that top 1,000 and would now receive, now will receive, or is receiving that invitation to apply for permanent residency. Okay. And so before, to come here under the skilled worker, before it was a first come first serve, right? Now it's no longer first come first serve. It is more of a meets the minimum requirement, and it is the highest qualified candidate. Okay, so let's give an example. Let's say the second person in line that has 500 points. That person might have applied 5 years ago. The next person with the arrow that says 670 points might have applied maybe 4 months ago. The person with 464 applied probably 2 months ago. And then the last person that has 690 points probably applied maybe a month ago. Okay. Now Canada IRCC says that, okay, the top 1,000, I'm inviting the top 1,000 to apply for permanent residency. And in that top 1,000, the 1,000th person, his or her score is, let's say, 500 points. So everyone that has 500 points and above, so the second person who applied 5 years ago is going to receive an invitation. The 670 points who applied 4 years ago is now receiving also an invitation. Now, the person that has 464, even though they applied 3 months ago, or like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, won't be able to apply because there won't be any invitation. But the last person who applied just recently is now getting an invitation to apply because he is in that top 1,000 because of his score, 690 points. So that's how it is done currently. It is, you have to meet the minimum requirement, and at the same, and not be satisfied with that one. You need to be the highest qualified candidate. And this is the score, or this is the criteria or the factors being used to determine your comprehensive ranking score. So you have your age, your level of education, your language, your if you have work experience in Canada, if you have a spouse, and again, and then on your skills transferability, you have your education, foreign work experience, and yes, so on and so forth. Okay. So what are the minimum requirements? So let's start with the trades worker program. Okay. Because again, you need to meet the minimum first, and then after meeting the minimum, hopefully you'll have the highest score as well. So the minimum requirement for the trades is that you need to have at least 2 years of full-time work experience within the last 5 years. And when we say trades, it would be under the industrial, electrical, and construction trades, equipment operation, technical jobs in natural resources, agriculture, manufacturing, utilities, supervisors, chefs, cooks, butchers, bakers. Those are the trades worker. And again, you need to have 2 years of full-time work experience. And when we say full-time, that would be at least 30 hours per week. When it comes to the language, your CLB needs to be 5 for your speaking and listening, but for reading and writing, you only need 4. But again, this is only the minimum, so it would be better if you have a higher CLB because that would give you more points. Education, no education is required. Okay. Again, this is minimum. That means if you don't have education, even though you meet the minimum, you won't have any score for your education. So you might not rank as high as you want to be if you don't have any education. And lastly, which is the hardest part, would be you need to have an offer of full-time employment from a Canadian employer. Okay. And at this time, it's hard to get an Canadian employer to hire foreign worker because of the crisis that we are having right now. So we have a high unemployment rate. So the government won't allow. It's going to be hard for an employer to get approval from the government to hire foreign workers. The government would like the businesses here to hire local applicants first. So that is your federal trades, the minimum requirement. Now let's go to the skilled worker. For the skilled worker, when it comes to the work experience, it has to be 1 year only, and it's only 1 year. That's the minimum. In trades, it's 2 years. For the skilled, it is only one. You only need 1 year of a continuous full-time work, and it has to be paid. Right? It cannot be volunteer work or internship. That one won't count, and it has to be in the same job. And again, this is only minimum. That means if you have a 1 year work experience, you'll have a smaller score or lower score than if you're working, your work experience is 5 years or more, right? And it has to be in the same job. Okay. An example would be, let's say you have been working as a supervisor for 4 years, and then just recently you were you were promoted to be a manager. So now you've been working as a manager for 2 years, and that's your current occupation, employment, which is manager. So that's good. You have been promoted. But for the express entry sake, though, it's not that great. Why? Because for your work experience, what will count more is your supervisory experience, which is 4 years. Your managerial, which is only 2 years, would score lower than your supervisory role, which had 4 years. So it would have been better if you continued to be a supervisor until now, because then that would give you a total of 6 years. That would give you more points as well. So that is Yeah, so that's how that same job comes to play. And it has to be within the last 10 years. And the occupation needs to be under skill type 0, A, or B under the National Occupation Classification. Okay. And when we say skill type O, A, and B, most most of them would be under the supervisory position, managerial, professional positions. Next is your English. So for when it comes to English, your CLB would need to be 7 in speaking and listening, reading, and writing. So that would be when we convert down to the actual score for IELTS, that would be 6.0 across the board. And again, that is only minimum, right? So if you scored higher, like 7.0, 8.0, 9.0, that means there's more points. When it comes to education, you need to have a Canadian secondary or a diploma or a degree. Okay, and this one needs to be evaluated by a third company. So an example for that one would be WES or ICES from BCIT. So in the trades program, there is no points, but for the skilled worker, there is such thing as points. So in or as the minimum requirement. Okay, so aside from the minimum requirement, let's say for the experience of 1 year work experience, you also need to, when you combine all of those categories, you need to score at least 67 points out of 100 in order to meet the minimum requirement. And those six factors are your language ability, education, work experience, age, job offer, and adaptability. Okay. Then don't be confused. I know it's confusing, but yes, you'll for the skilled worker, you will have to receive 67 points minimum to meet the minimum requirement. And then once you have checked that one off, then you will now have a different score for your comprehensive ranking score. Again, based on the same factors. And then that would be the one that is used to see where you rank when they placed you in the express entry pool, right? So let's give a sample scoring so that it would be, maybe this one would make things a bit clearer. So let's say you have IELTS CLB 8, okay? So your score for that one would be 20 points. And obviously, if your CLB 8, if your IELTS is CL is lower than 8, then your score would be lower than 20, okay? Now for education, you have master's degree. So with that one, then you have 23 points. Of course, if you don't have a master's degree but and only have a bachelor's degree, then you'll have a lower score than 23. Then work experience 6 years. So that's 15 points. Your age is in that working age 18 to 35, so that's 12 points. And let's say you don't have a job offer from a Canadian employer, so that's 0. But you have a spouse or you have relatives in Canada, that gives you 5 points. That's the maximum points for that factor, adaptability. So the total for that one, for that situation, will give you 77 points. So that's good. That's great news. You have met the minimum requirements. Now, as I've said, that is only meeting the minimum, and that's only for the skilled worker. Now, we have to convert that one. What now we have to look at, how does that one score when it comes to your comprehensive ranking score? And again, these are the factors, right? So age, education, and those are the scores that you'll get. Okay. So let's use the same situation. Now, how does that one translate into your comprehensive ranking score? Because as I said, you need to meet the minimum and score at least the highest score in the pool, right? You should be the rank. You should be ranking on top so that you'll get the invitation to apply. So with the same factors as we used, wherein you got 77 points, which is higher than the minimum score needed to meet the for the skilled worker, you scored 405 points. So that's great, but not good enough to receive an invitation for permanent residency. Historically, it is not good enough because the lowest comprehensive ranking score that was invited to apply was 415, and that is the lowest. So right now it's kind of like ranging to 450, 475. So it's tough, but it's not impossible, right? So there's still room for improvement on the situation I showed you earlier. So your English, you can still bring that English up a bit from CLB 8 to 9, and that would give you a better ranking score. So next one, the last one is a Canadian experience class. So minimum requirement is work experience of 1 year of paid Canadian experience. That's why the title is called Canadian Experience Class. So it has to be 1 year of paid Canadian experience. And again, full time would be 30 hours per week. So, and then it has to be paid work. And so volunteer work, unpaid internship doesn't count. And it has to be within the last 3 years. And it should be in skill type 0, A, or B of the 2016 NOC. But now you'll ask, okay, how will I be qualified for this one if it says right here, work experience is 1 year of paid Canadian experience, and I'm not in Canada right now. So how am I able to meet this minimum requirement? So just hang tight on that question, and I'll get to that one later on. So the other minimum requirements would be your English CLB 7 for NOC 0 and 8. So that is again IELTS score of 6.0. And for NOC B, your CLB, you only need CLB 5. All right. So that would be 5.0 for English, writing, and speaking, and only 4.0 for reading. And again, this is minimum. I don't want you to be getting only minimum score, right? Education, no educational requirement. Again, this is only minimum, so that means you won't get any score for your education. So again, for the trades, I won't be qualified for that one because I need a Canadian employer. I don't have a Canadian employer, and I won't be able to get one because it's Canadian employer won't be approved to hire foreign workers at the moment. The next one is skilled worker. Yep, it's possible, but it's tough. And yeah, I can take a master's degree, but by the time I finish it, I might be 40 years old. That means my score will go down, even though my education score will go up. So it might not really help me on that for that plan. So probably not the express, not the skilled worker. Now, Canadian experience class sounds good, but again, I need to be able to get a work experience in Canada in order to meet that one. So, good news is that there's a way to get your Canadian experience class, and this is through your study permit. Okay. So what happens is you come here as a study permit as a student, you study for a year. After studying for a year, you work for a year. Once you have worked for a year, then you have met the minimum requirement for the Canadian experience class, which is 1 year of paid work experience. And then once you have worked for 1 year, then you'll, yeah, as I've said, you'll apply for your express entry under your Canadian experience class. And then there you go. You're now PR or permanent resident. So study permit. So you can study in any public school, and it has to be in public school, not private school. So these are the some of the public schools that we are partnered with. And Northern College, University of Windsor, York University, College of the Rockies, UBC, or University of British Columbia, and there's many more. It's going to be hard to capture all of the universities we are and colleges we are in partner with. So you just have to tell us where, if you have a preference, you will just have to tell us where you want to study, which province, and what school, right? And then we'll figure that one. We'll let you know if what course we can suggest based on your education and employment history. So it has to be, again, it has, in order for this plan to work, it has to be a 1 year course, and it has to be in a public school. Okay, so at least 1 year course or 12-month course. After studying for a year, as I've said, you will apply for a postgraduate work permit, and only students in public school will be eligible to apply for postgraduate work permit. So don't be uh, I'm hoping that you won't be influenced to go to a maybe a school that would have a lower tuition fee, let's say a private school, because you won't have a pathway for permanent residency for that one. Okay, so just be when you are already dealing with you're already working with someone when it comes to study permit, just make sure that you are going into a public school in order to get your postgraduate work permit. Then again, after working for a year, then we will now apply for your express entry program under the Canadian experience class. Now that you have your 1 year experience on your belt. So what are the requirements then for to apply for study permit? So this would be the federal requirement. So this is what the government is requiring the applicants to have in order for them to approve your study permit. So this is not the school, but this is the government or the IRCC or the Immigration Refugee Citizenship of Canada. So you need to be at least legal age, years 18 years of age. So if you're a high school graduate and you say, okay, mom, I know we have a plan to go to Canada, might as well apply in Canada for my college rather than spending tuition fee here, a 4 year degree course, and then later on apply for Canada as a student. Why not just go straight from high school to come here and study, right? So that's a big possibility for sure. Successfully passed the verification for criminal record, so that means you are admissible to come to Canada, no criminal offense, no misrepresentation, okay? But it doesn't mean that it's a hard no. It's just that there'll be more complicated. It will be more complicated and more work on that one to yeah, to get your misrepresentation or your admissibility turned around, right? So yeah, be of good health, sound mind, and provide all documentation, which is It has to be truthfully and accurately, because if you, for some reason, didn't include someone on your application, then that is considered misrepresentation, and that would not be good for you, because you'll be banned in coming to Canada for that one. So continuation. So proof of financial support. So of course the government would like to know, are you able to really study in terms of, do you have enough money to study in Canada? Okay. So you need to be able to show that you're able to pay your tuition fee. And you only need to show the first year. Okay. If you're going to school for a 4-year degree course, you don't need to show the entire 4 years worth of tuition fee. You only need to show the first year. How much does it cost for you to finish your first year? That is the only amount that you need to prove when it comes to the tuition fee. Plus your 15,000 Canadian dollars, this would be your living expense. So IRCC would need to know, yes, you can pay your tuition, but are you able to pay for your food, your rent? Are you able to would you be able to live in Canada and work at this and study at the same time? So with this one, we will be using the bank statements for the last 4 months, and it doesn't need to be under your name. If your parents are the ones sponsoring you, or your friends, or it's a bank loan or whatnot, then it would be your parents' financial statements that will be submitted to IRCC. Okay, so it doesn't need to be under your name. And then we'll just need to get a letter from the person that is supporting you. So if it's your parents, then letter from your parents, and then attaching their financial statements. And the other one is the acceptance letter. So the IRCC needs to know, are you really accepted by the school? Have the school accepted you as their potential student? So in order to get the acceptance letter, most of the school would require a down payment. And this one ranges between 10 to 50% of the school tuition fee. Once you have paid the down payment, then they will release your acceptance letter, which you will be submitting together with your study permit application. Then the balance can be paid while in school. And this one would be, the terms and agreement on this one would be between you and the school. Okay. So when it comes to the money for the tuition fee for the school, we won't be touching that money. It won't be coming to us. It won't go through us to the school. It will go from you to the school directly. So you are 100% sure that your money is going to where it should be going, which is to the school. And then we will be creating a learning plan. Okay, so why are you coming to Canada to study, and why not study in your home country? Now, and again, the down payment is paid directly to the school, and this is refundable. In case your study permit gets refused, your down payment will be refunded. So that was the requirement from the government. Now, this is the school requirement. So some school will require course assessment form. So you complete that form, and then transcript of record, diploma, certificate, just a clear copy of your post-secondary, your college, and then a clear copy of your passport. And then your IELTS score. Okay. And again, and with the IELTS score, this one varies from school to school, and it depends on the course as well that you'll be taking. Now, with now with us doing your application, your school application, the benefit of you having us is that you don't need to have your transcript of record or diploma red ribbon or notarized and be sent from the school to from your school to theirs to the school that you're trying to get admission. It will just be, we just need a clear copy, colored copy of it, and then we'll be the one submitting it to the school and they would accept that one. So it's easier and it's faster, and most of the time the tuition fee would be lower than if you go directly and apply as an international student. So benefits, school student benefits would be interest-free payment plans are available to you. And also once you're here in Canada, there are grants, loans. Let's say if you're in BC, there's Student Aid BC that you can apply for loans and grants from. And the school will also assist in housing. Some schools have their own Canadian immigration consultant to guide you along the way while you are in school. If you have any questions, they are there easily to you can easily access. But again, we would, as our client, we will be here for you as well. And as I've said, grants and loans are available for international students once you are here. Unfortunately, you cannot apply for those grants and loans while you are still in your home country. You need to first be accepted by the school and then already here in Canada before you can apply for those grants and loans. Now, as a student, you're allowed to work 20 hours per week during school days. Off school, you are allowed to work 40 hours per week. And as a working student, your rate would be the same as your rate would be at least the minimum wage for that province. Okay, it doesn't mean that your wage will be lower because you're a student worker, right? Your wage would be at least the minimum wage of that province. And as a student with a study permit, you are able to bring your spouse and children with you. So your spouse will have an open work permit and your children will have a study permit as well. And then they can avail the free education between grade 1 to 12. So with your spouse will have that open work permit, as I have said, and there won't be any occupation restriction or employer restriction. So your spouse can work anywhere as long as he or she is qualified for that job. And again, you may bring your loved one with you. So, what's next after school? After school, after your 12 months of study, you will now be applying for your postgraduate work permit. If it's a 1-year study, that would be equivalent to 1 year of postgraduate work permit. If you'll be attending a course that is a 2 years in length, then it would be 3 years of postgraduate work permit. If you will be studying 4 years for your course, it would still be 3 years of postgraduate work permit. And then once you have completed at least a year, because that is the minimum requirement for your Canadian experience class, then you can now apply for your permanent residency. Then later on, apply for your citizenship. Then when you are a permanent resident or a citizen, you can now sponsor your parents. And of course, money matters, right? So what is the minimum wage? Why do we want, is it worth it to come to Canada and spend all of those money, invest in all of those money? Is it really worth it? Would I be getting my investment back and when, right? So the lowest minimum wage would be found in Newfoundland, which is 11.65. The highest minimum wage would be Alberta, which it would you will have, their minimum is at $15 right now, $15 per hour. Okay, so now here's a quick snapshot of the minimum wage across Canada. So you'll see in there on your left side, British Columbia. That's where I am right now. Our minimum wage is 14.60, and our neighbor Alberta is right there at $15, right? So those are the minimum wage. And yeah, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and none of it, yes, they are around $13. But I would not work there because it's a bit cold over there. Right? It could be negative 30 degrees for months and months. And so, yeah, so I would, if it was me, I would rather work down, like British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba, Ontario, those areas. I won't be recommending Quebec because we don't provide services to Quebec. So wage sample computation. Let's say you are in BC, okay, and working minimum wage 14.60 an hour and working for 40 hours a week. That would give you $584 per week. And in a month, that would give you 2,336. So in a year, that would give you 28,000 Canadian dollars. So how much would that be really in Philippine peso? So 35 pesos per dollar would be, that would translate to almost a million pesos, 981,120 to be exact. So it's close to a million for working as a under in a on a minimum wage here in BC. If you have your spouse with you, then your spouse would also be working. And if your spouse is also earning minimum wage, then you just now double your 981. That would be your family income. Now, if you have children and your children is going to school between grades 1 to 12, just imagine how much would that be? How much would the be tuition fee be if your children are still in your home country? Then you can use that one, that amount right there, as a, that's your additional family income, because now you're not paying for their tuition fee. So how much funds does a foreign student really need to come to Canada? How much do you need to invest? Okay, so this is the show money or the living expense, which I did mention earlier in my slide. It is 15,000, but here it's 12,000. This is at least 12,000, but I would recommend not just be satisfied with the minimum. It would be better if it's higher. So I would recommend 15,000 Canadian dollar as your living expense or your show money. Okay. And again, this one doesn't need to be under your name. It could be under someone else's name because they're the ones sponsoring you. If you have a dependent, so let's say your spouse, then you need to add 4,000 on top of the first one, right? So if we're saying 15,000 for you, then you add another 4,000 for your spouse. And if you have children, so one child, you need to add another 3,000. One more child, another 3,000. So that's how you will compute when it comes to how much do I need to show that I have in order for my application to be approved. Okay. Now, the average school tuition per year would be between 10 to 20,000 Canadian dollars. Again, this one depends on the course and it depends on the school, province. So there's a lot of factors that plays into this tuition fee. But again, your dependents, if you're taking your dependents with you, your spouse, then your spouse is able to work unlimited hours. So that would be your spouse will be able to help you in your family's financial situation as well, right? So there you go. So for our administration fee, so when you take this opportunity and we find that you are eligible, we will be able to find you a course or courses to choose from. Then there is administration fee of 1,400 CAD or 48,000 pesos. Okay. With this administration fee, we are also providing free unlimited IELTS review. This is only for this webinar. So free unlimited IELTS review. We will also shoulder your IELTS exam. So it's a free IELTS exam. And normally there is a consultant's fee of 1,500 for processing your study permit. That one would be waived for this webinar. So 1,500 will be waived, so you have saved a lot of money, right? So what is the process? So first is your eligibility check. So we need to make sure that before we proceed, before we take any money from you, before you pay any money, we make sure first that you will be able to proceed or move forward, right? So by having said that, it is what I mean is that we'll be able to find a course or multiple course for you to choose from or school to choose from as well. Okay. And once we find that we will be able to, then that would be the only time you pay the administration fee of 1,400 CAD or 48,000 pesos. Then submit the documents needed for the school. And then now you'll be given choices for your choices of courses to choose from. Okay. And then you choose the course in school. And then now you submit additional documents because now this is the time we're in now. We submit your school application for admission. And then at that time, when you submit your school application for admission, they determine, yep, we are accepting you. The next one would be now you have to pay the down payment required. Once you have paid the down payment, then you'll receive your official letter of acceptance or acceptance letter. Now, normally the consultant's fee would be due after that one, after once you've received the the official letter of acceptance. At this one, for this webinar, that one is waived. Then we submit your study permit application. Then once we have submitted your application, normally the last payment of 500, it will be due, but for this webinar, that one would be waived. Then you come to Canada, right? So this is the study permit process. I know it's a lot, but you can always go back to our recording and review it, or you can always message us with your questions and we'll be happy to answer them. So steps: study permit, 1 year, okay, at least 1 year. And then postgraduate work permit, at least 1 year. You work at least for a year. And then you apply for your express entry. That would take 1 year would be the longest. So in 3 years, in 3 years' time, you'll be a permanent resident. And then after which you can decide if you want to apply for your citizenship as well. So this is the fastest and easy pathway to Canada, right? So you have control over this one because study permit, it's on, everything is on you. Postgraduate work permit, it's a given that you'll 99% of the time you'll be given a postgraduate work permit. And then once you have your experience 1 year, then you'll get into that express entry under the Canadian experience class, and you won't just meet the minimum because you have education, right? So there you go. And you have educate Canadian education as well, not just foreign education, but Canadian education. So that counts as well. Then permanent resident status and then citizenship. So what's the immediate next steps? And this is only if you're interested and you're interested and you're comfortable with the investment that you will be having, right? Or you'll be needing. And at the same time, also avail our webinar promo or promo that we give to our clients who join this webinar. So send your resume first for us to have your eligibility checked to assessment at romancanadianimmigration.ca. And again, at this stage, this is the first step. You don't need to pay anything. We won't be requiring anything from you, only your patience, because we are receiving tons of applications. So just bear with us. We will get to you as quickly as we can because yeah, we are serving not just study permit, but we are also have other pathway as well. So let's caregiver pathway and nursing pathway as well. So yeah, so if that's the only thing we need from you at this stage is your patience. No money required. Once we have, and also so that it doesn't, your email doesn't get buried, please in the subject line write in the subject line or type in study, work, and immigrate to Canada so that we can triage it properly and efficiently. Please. So if you're eligible, then we proceed to the next step, and that would be the only time you have to pay that 1,400 or 48,000, and then we search for your school, your course, and then we facilitate for your unlimited IELTS review. Then once you're ready to take your IELTS, you take your we register you for your IELTS exam. And with our unlimited IELTS review, I would guarantee you that head when you go head on to your IELTS exam, you'll be more comfortable taking it, right? So you'll have the confidence in taking it. And having that confidence is a a one way of achieving a higher score in your IELTS. Okay. So that's it for now. That's all I have. I know there's a lot of things for you guys to remember, and there's a lot of things that you guys heard in this webinar. So I'm hoping though that you have learned something, and if this is not for you, that is fine. Please do share whatever you have learned to your friends and families, and please do refer us to your friends and families if you know that they would be benefiting from this uh, pathway. And yes, and just to plug in, today your time at 8 p.m. we will have another webinar, but this time it would be around nurses. How can nurses come to Canada and work as a nurse and immigrate as a nurse? And we have future webinars as well on caregivers and nurses as well, and this study permit or study, work, and immigrate to Canada. So just check our Facebook events. Everything is, all the dates are listed in our Facebook events. Please do register to save your spot because we can only accommodate so much. So, yes. So, once again, I would like to say thank you for those people who have attended and shared this live stream. Very much appreciated. You have a enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe and see you soon. Goodbye.